As I go ahead and get kicked off, I would like to introduce our VP, our Vice President for Moms for America, Ms. Debbie Kraulitis. Welcome, Debbie.
Hello, everyone. Hello. Hi, moms. Welcome, welcome, welcome. We're excited. I hope everybody is with us. We've got our cup of coffee or whatever we need because it's going to be a great couple hours. So thank you so much for joining us. We're going to go right ahead, and I'm going to introduce our fearless leader, the founder and the president of Moms for America, Miss Kimberly Fletcher. Hello, Kim.
Hello. I love how you always call me fearless.
Well, you are.
I fake it well. So I am so excited to have you all here. This is really an awesome opportunity for us. It's a unique situation which has opened possibilities that were always there, but we hadn't really taken advantage of. And so we're going to be doing a lot more of these, but just understand that you guys have the awesome opportunity to be our guinea pig class. So all of our speakers, all of you attending today, this is our first shot at this, and we're going to do a lot more. So thank you for being part of our guinea pig class, and let's get going.
Great. Thank you so much, Kimberly. Well, we're incredibly excited to have all of you join us. And just a few little tips I want to share with you all. You're going to hear so much information, and it's going to be packed into a very, very tight time frame. So if by chance you miss any of the information, if you go to our website, www.momsforamerica.us, you can sign up for our emails. You can also see additional resources on our website from all of our speakers. We're also going to deconstruct the show that we're doing today and send that back out for folks to be able to watch individual segments as well. Welcome our very first speaker. Dr. Stein is a pediatrician, and she's the author of It's a Mom Thing. Dr. Rose, as we lovingly refer to her, she's really a highly regarded expert in childhood development, speaking across the country on child-related issues. I am so incredibly pleased to welcome medical expert and mom thing expert, Dr. Rosemary Stein.
Hey, hello, moms. So I'm a pediatrician in Burlington, North Carolina. I've been a pediatrician for over 25 years. And my husband and I, we own a practice in Burlington, North Carolina. We have about 5,000 patients. So as I was thinking of how to address moms all across America, what I wanted to do was sort of to simulate, you're in my favorite office, room of all, which my daughter lovingly decorated for me with Disney characters. So I chose this one because I wanted to simulate what a visit with me would be like during this very trying time, and how I would address your concerns, and how I would tell you to keep yourself well, mentally healthy, but also how to keep your family safe and well and healthy during this difficult time. So as you're sort of sitting down with me and I'm coming inside and I'm saying, "Hi, Mom, what's going on?" And I'm trying to make you feel very much at ease and comfortable. Because guess what, moms? We are in a turbulent time. But at the same time, your homes are a respite for your family. And I want you to feel that and know that during this difficult time, you can be that sounding board for the rest of your family to keep things as balanced and as peaceful as possible. So I'm going to ask, so what's up? What's going on? And moms are going to tell me, well, my child's been coughing, he's had a bit of a fever, and he's just not feeling right. And of course, those symptoms would give most moms a worried concern. Until you see your doctor, you might still be concerned. And so I want for you to think about what is going on and how to address those questions when your child does come down with some of the symptoms that might be prevalent out there as indicators for the COVID-19 virus. So first of all, let me give you just a little bit of history when it comes to flu epidemics and pandemics. And I will first go to the one that I have seen. So in 2009, we had the H1N1 pandemic, and we saw a huge grouping of patients come through the clinic. They were very sick. We had lots of illness. We had lots of hospitalization. In fact, we were to the brim. We couldn't see more patients than we were seeing. We were seeing 100, maybe 120 a day some days. We were sending lots of them to the hospital. So keep that in mind. We did have quite a few that were hospitalized. Within our clinic, we did not have any of our patients that died, thank the Lord. But we did have quite a bit of hospitalizations and children that had to be even on ventilators during that time. Those were mostly the very young ones. So I'm going to jump really far in time to something that I've been studying, which is the Spanish flu. The Spanish flu came through in 1918. It lasted about the whole, from start to finish, at the most it seemed to last was about 18 months. And that took, depending from the country that it affected, it took between 0.1 and 3% of all of the worldwide population because of this illness. But have this in mind, it's been 100 years since then. We have the advent of understanding how communicable diseases go from person to person. We have running water, we have electricity, we have all of these medical progresses that weren't available. We have antibiotics, we have steroids, we know how to treat illness. This is not like the Spanish flu because of so many other reasons. And the other thing is that we were in a worldwide war. And because of that, the propagation of the disease went worldwide in a different way than what it's going through today. So given those two illnesses in the past, I've been given a lot of thought to this current illness. And what I see is an illness that, yes, it is severe. Yes, we have to be well on the alert and protect our families and really be understanding and also listening to what is going on around us. But I believe that this one is very different because the power is a lot in our hands to make sure that we protect our families. And what do we do, Mom, to make sure that we're protecting our families? And you've heard all the things, hand washing, and making sure that we're using sanitizer, soap, all of those things. But here's the thing, your kids are at home. And a lot of us have sort of drifted into this new lifestyle of the kids are at home and I'm at home and we're not doing our jobs the way that we regularly do because a lot of us are staying at home. But we have to get back to healthy routines. And that's really important in kids. For example, I like to see when parents are waking up their children at a routine time. For me, that would probably be somewhere between 8 and 8:30 and adhere to schedules. I'd like to see our parents waking up, getting their kids up, washing their faces, getting ready for the day, making sure that they have a healthy breakfast. One of the things that helps children to fight off diseases, vitamin C. Make sure that instead of hoarding things like toilet paper and paper towels, we should be hoarding bananas and fruits and oranges, things that we can use at home so that we increase our consumption of vitamin C, because vitamin C is great against fighting disease, especially for children, because vitamin C is a great healer. It's a great healer as well as being it's something that helps us not to get sick. The other thing that we're not doing enough of, and now that it's turning nice and warm, is sun exposure. We need to expose our children to the sun. So we need, and I know they're telling us, don't go out to parks. But guys, most of us have backyards. Most of us know places that we can be with our families and be outside and get some sun. Vitamin D is the great regenerator and producer of new great cells. You need it for your skin, you need it for your bones. And so to be able to fight off diseases, you need nice, new, bright cells. So we need to expose the children to sunlight. And there's no better producer of vitamin C than having the sunlight on our skin. So vitamin C, vitamin D, fruit, and exposure to sun, that's going to be a great part of keeping our family healthy. Apart from that, just make sure that our kids are drinking plenty of fluids. that we keep them off cell phone and other electronics, that we have them interacting with us. And as I like to say, the most important healing product that we have is ourselves as moms. When we expose our children to ourselves, especially when we're healthy, we're mentally healthy, but we're also physically healthy, we're making sure that our children are also healthy themselves. They're looking up to you, mom and dad. I know there are a lot of dads out there. They're the ones that are having to be on the home front right now. And so you dads, you need to be taking care of yourselves, because if you're not taking care of yourselves, you're not going to be able to take care of your families. So moms and dads, take the advice that I said for the children and stick it to yourselves as well. Make sure that you're going to bed on time. A lot of kids at this time, I had one kid today told me that she went to bed at 12 o'clock or 1 o'clock in the morning, and she's only 12. So make sure that our family is going to bed on time, that they're not excessively on different electronic venues, and they're talking to each other. With all of this social distancing that we're doing, I think that we're overdoing it in a bit, because we need more social aspects, perhaps not physical, but we need to have our social relationships increased. And so I need for your children to feel your warmth, your calm. And so before we started this talk, we prayed. I would like you in the morning, moms and dads, to make sure that before you face your children through this very turbulent time, that you pray and you ask for that strength, so that your face doesn't look downtrodden, and so that it looks like it's happy, and that you're able to face this difficult time, and so that your children don't even see that it's a difficult time. I'll leave you with a couple of examples of a couple of parents that have been in the practice in the last few days. I had one mom who came in and she was very distraught. Her little 1.5-year-old has been pretty sick. She had a fever and she didn't know what to do. But this mom was so distraught that she was having palpitations and some chest pain. And after I went and examined the child and said, I really don't see any suspicion for your child having coronavirus, she actually asked the nurse who came in after me, is she lying to me? Is she telling me something that's not true? And anybody who knows Dr. Rose would know that the first thing that I do is I sit with you after I've examined the child, and I level with you and I say, this is what I think. Here are my suspicions, here how we're going to rule that out. And so it seemed like there was no being able to comfort her. So we went over the whole list. I did some lab work. They all came back. The mom still looked very troubled. And so over the last 2 or 3 days, she's calmed down a little bit, but I don't see her back to the level of herself. And so I fear for the rest of the family, because the mom is the sounding board. She's the mirror for the rest of the family. So I try to pray with her and spend extra time with her. I think that the family is going to do okay, but the consequences of how she's dealing with it will still be there for the family. And so I have that concern that some of the tremors of what has she's been going through will be left with the family. So here's case number 2. Well, this is not a case, it's a beautiful family. But this really vibrant mom with about 6 other children now had her 7th child. And the little boy is very healthy, beautiful. This family has gone through a very difficult time, actually lost a baby not too long ago. And the mom is looking very peaceful, very content in the office. The little guy lost a great amount of weight in the first 3 days. Mom's breast milk had not come in. And so we talked a little bit, and she understood what she needed to do to get him back to normal. She did that and came in with a beautiful smile today. I asked her how the other children were doing, and she said, they're doing great. They're very peaceful. Little baby Henry is so happy to see the little baby brother. We're all thriving. Life is as usual because we're homeschooling, and I'm trying to keep a good face and a good front because Dad has been able to keep his job. So those are 2 different ways to see this. Both are big families. One allowed all of what's going out externally to come back into her home. The other mom protected the walls of her home, and because of that, the children are very healthy. I want you to respond like mom number two. And that's what we need to do with our children and our homes and our families right now, so that we protect our walls and our homes from what's out there. And I think that's what really we can do to keep our families and our homes healthy. So this is Dr. Rosemary Stein from Burlington, North Carolina. Always feel free to contact our office. I'm on Facebook, Rosemary Stein, MD. You could always reach me and my family and our practice assistants. And just God bless, take care, keep healthy, and remember, moms and dads, that you're holding up the fort for the next generation of America.
Thank you, Dr. Stein. Wonderful wisdom. We so appreciate you taking time out today. In fact, Dr. Stein has been a speaker at one of our mom talks, and she was wonderful there as well. So thanks so much. Well, as all of us can see, I'm going to put my glasses on here real quick. I know there's a little bit of a glare, but we can all see how incredible these virtual conferences are going to be. So I do have some good news I want to share right on the top here. Next Thursday at 3:30 p.m. Eastern, we will be partnering with Heritage Foundation for another virtual conference. So mark your calendars. Next Thursday, we will be sending out some information. Let everybody know what's going to be happening next Thursday. That is going to be incredible as well. So we have our next person, and she's a favorite of Moms for America. She's one of my favorites too, Miss Mona. I love her to death. Mona, she is the mom mentor. And if you have not met Mona on Facebook, you surely need to. She has a incredible ministry for moms there. But just a little bit about her. She's a mentor. She's inspired thousands of moms all across America, and I'm one of them. She's an author, a speaker, like I said, a mentor, and a founder of Moms Like Us Academy. This is something that all moms need to check out because it helps moms just like us in the midst of these battles in our home on the home front, just to be better moms. So without any further ado, I would like to welcome the incredible Mona Corwin.
Oh, you're so sweet. I love seeing you, even though you're wearing your glasses. Moms, I am really excited to be here because we are in a time in our world that we've never been in before. And I am excited to be able to talk to y'all about it. You know, it was just a few weeks ago and just like that, the hurry up, get your shoes on, we're going to be late for school thing came to a screeching halt. With one press conference, we all found ourselves home and the COVID safecation began. In one quick second, we were all living the exact same crisis with the exact same fears. Never before have we been on such common ground. Everything was halted. Everyone was told to go home and wait. Were you with me? And the other coaches, the other moms that I coach, and wondering what in the heck is going to happen. Our crazy schedules that we were secretly wanted to slow down were now gone. And although they were crazy, they were predictable. And now everything was upside down. Worried about financial future, having to homeschool our kids, what the heck with that? Groceries, cooking all the meals and cleaning up the mess. What would happen when we were home all together in the same square footage all the time? We were having enough trouble keeping our kids from fighting, and during the 4 hours in the evening, and what are we going to do with no weekend activities and all the birthday parties and the churches, and what are we going to do when they get bored? And friend, what about your marriage relationship? I love my husband, but I got to tell you, I was wondering if we were going to get on each other's nerves, the last one, under the pressure. No wonder there was panic everywhere. No wonder everyone was thinking the only thing that they could control was the toilet paper in their pantry. Are you feeling it? Don't be embarrassed. We're all feeling it, and we're all trying to get our bearings. Everyone actually feels the same way. Now, before this happened, many of us, including me, might have secretly been wishing that our culture addiction to hurry would find a cure. Little did we know that that cure would come from a pandemic that caused all of us to go to a full stop. None of us knew it would happen this fast. We knew the struggle would be big and real, and you know what? It is. We all moved into a new normal, and now the hard is actually what we thought it would be. It's hard. So now what? Now that the radical elimination of hurry has stopped and home and family is kind of all that's left, does it feel like your home, life, and world is coming unglued around you? Well, let me tell you something, sweet little mama, and I want you to hear me in this. I want you to lean in and listen to what I have to say. You were made for this. God created you with all the potential in the world to nurture and care for your family. You may feel like you don't have what it takes to be locked in the house all day, responsible for their schooling, eating, and the fighting. But what if I told you that motherhood isn't a talent? It's a skill. It's a skill that you can learn, and you can. In fact, you can. Women since the beginning of the time have had to learn how to make a home and take care of the needs of her family, dealing with whining kids, diapers, and schooling. They've all had to do it. We've all had to learn. But you know what? When God created this world, he had a really good idea. He created it within family. He knew it was the best place for children to grow and to have moms and dads that would be ground zero to the love, that would take little selfish kids and turn them into God-caring adults. But what if this world-wide crisis that God is doing something special in families, in marriages like yours, and home? Don't you think it's interesting that we've had everything removed except for our home? Still, you can feel overwhelmed with it all, and you might feel like you're not prepared. But I want you to hear me in this. Now I want you to listen. Little mama, listen. You can do this because motherhood isn't a talent. It's a skill, and it can be learned. You, sweet little mama, moms just like us, well, guess what? We do things like this. We do hard things. We do things that we don't know how to do. We learned how to keep going with all the things to keep it together. Yep, the mom glue thing. What is it? Well, it's love and self-sacrifice and a tenacity to keep your family together. It's asking for help and giving help to others. And it's leaning on God like never before. Mom glue. I love that word. It's our secret weapon. Mom glue. Yep, it's the stuff that moms are made of. Sweetie, it's not a talent and it's not a trick. It's a skill we can learn. Are you wondering what happened to the moms that I coach? How are they holding up? Well, let me tell you what happened to them after the initial shock. Oh boy, did I get the DMs and the phone calls. Well, they wondered if they could make it. I kind of thought that they would. What I witnessed was exactly what I knew was inside of them. I saw motherhood in all its marvel. I'm watching in awe as I see these moms, and I'll bet you take up your bat and head to the plate and take a swing at that panic and pressure. They got their groceries, they created schedules for their kids for school, and they prayed like they'd never prayed before. Here's some of the things they told me. One woman said, I've never really realized that we were rushing so much. Now I'm kind of liking the slow pace of our lives. Another mom said, I never thought that I could homeschool. I didn't think that was my thing. But you know what? With the right tools and somebody helping me and giving me the lessons plans, it's kind of nice. The other one said, I am shocked beyond shocked. We're connecting more than we ever have as a family, and we're laughing a lot. They also dug deep into the relationship with other moms and shared ideas. Now, in our Moms Like Us community, we went into full conversation mode to do all kinds of things with our kids. Some of them suggested science kits from Amazon, watching live videos, this is really cool, in the Cincinnati Zoo with a daily animal and a craft at the end. The bigger kids are creating escape games, oh my gosh, and scavenger hunts with prizes at the end. And if you don't know about Mo Williams, the famous artist who teaches kids to draw, you need to look that one up. The creating forts and playing Uno. Yeah, lots of forts and lots of Uno. Yeah, why? We love Uno. So how are you doing? Really? How are you doing? Do you feel like you're falling apart and that you're so overwhelmed that even mom glue, if you knew where it was, you wouldn't know how to use it? Well, sweetie, let me encourage you that although things are in a chaos, It doesn't have to be in your home, your family, and in you. You can create an atmosphere where peace and calm in your little part of the world, your home. Home, the place where the world chaos isn't invited. It's not invited to cause panic and fear in my kids. It's a place where love reigns, and although it's loud and it's messy and very loud and very messy, it's a place where the very peace of God is. We will get through this. We will get to the other side of it. And someday, someone might call you a talented mom and ask you, how in the world did you get through it? Like, how did you get through it and have your relationships be stronger? And you know what? It's then that you'll take a little wink and you'll tell her, you know what? Oh, honey, little mama, it was the mom glue. Being just like that, her world will never be the same either. You know why? Because moms like us, we do things like this. We help other moms learn the glue. That's it. I hope that you will take care during this time. And yes, you can contact me at Moms Like Us Community and Mona Corwin and all the social medias on Instagram and all that. And I do have a resource for you on having the guide to COVID combos with your kids with age-appropriate conversation starters. We'll put that in the link below. And that's it. Thanks for joining me.
Another mom that's been a real inspiration to me, and I'm very proud to not only work alongside of her, but call her my friend, Kimberly Fletcher. Not only is she the founder of Moms for America and the president, but she is also a homeschool mom of 8 children. You heard me right. 8 children. She's got lots of great tips how to keep your kiddos engaged, and she's learned it straight on the front lines. So I would like to welcome Kimberly Fletcher.
Hey everybody, I love this topic, so I am really excited to be able to address this. I can talk about all kinds of things, but teaching your kids, schooling from home, that's something I really love. And I will tell you that I found myself in the same place that you're all finding yourself about, oh my gosh, what was it, 18 years ago? I was kind of, I wouldn't say forced into homeschooling, but I really feel like I was nudged. My son had been asking me for quite some time, for months. He had been asking to homeschool, and he had been having some problems with some of the kids at school, and I was trying to help him navigate through that. But I don't know, it was like all the little hints were being sent out there, and then one day I found out that he developed a medical condition, and he wasn't going to be able to go to school. And so I went to the school district and I said, hey, my son has this condition. I want to find out about homebound. How do we do that? And she said, well, this could be a long-term thing, and this homebound is for short-term. And I said, well, what am I supposed to do? And she said, well, have you considered homeschooling? And I'm like, huh, that's funny. My son has been asking me. Well, right around the same time, I had a friend whose husband was in the State Department who just came back to the country. They'd been all over the world, and they had been homeschooling their children because they were in China, they were in Indonesia, all these different places, and they wanted to be able to teach their kids at home, so they were making sure they were getting the educational resources that they wanted their children to have. And so she'd been homeschooling for like 12 years, and she had talked about, you know, maybe you should homeschool, and it's like, why is everybody telling me this? Well, then you're suddenly in the position where you are. And I will tell you, the thing that made all the difference for me was having that friend. And I called her up and I told her what the situation was, and she was almost giddy, like doing somersaults. Yay! And she said, come over to the house after church on Sunday and I'll help you. And so I went to her house and we talked for about a half an hour to an hour. She gave me incredible advice and things that I still hold on to and tell every other mom now is the standard, here's your talk, here's your pep talk, you can do this. And then she handed me a piece of paper and a pencil. We went through and worked out an outline. And when I left her house that day around 11 o'clock at night, I had a bag of books to get me through the next 2 weeks, a schedule, and a letter to send to the state. I was fully equipped and prepared to go home and start schooling. I had no idea what I was doing, but I felt like I could pick up the phone and talk to my friend if I ever got stuck or felt like I didn't know what I was doing. Here's the funny thing. At the end of the first week, I was sold, hook, line, and sinker. I was like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. I was learning. I was finding the best resources. I'm telling you that I don't know what happened in the public schools somewhere along the line where we didn't get the best books or the best stories or the coolest educational resources, but somehow all the homeschoolers seem to have it. And so I was really excited to find all these things. And I ended up bringing all of my kids home. And so from 2001 until, well, I'm still homeschooling today. My last one is 16. And a couple of them have gone to college. One of them is works at he works at a rest home as a marketing director for this series of senior citizens homes. And I mean, it's just crazy how everything just worked out. And one of the things that my friend told me, the most valuable piece of advice that she gave me that I can give you was, don't do it like everybody else. Homeschool does not look like public school. It just doesn't. And my husband realized that very quickly after we started homeschooling. He came home early one day and all the kids are laying on the couch and they're, reading books and circling things on papers. And he's like, why aren't the kids schooling? And I'm like, they are. He's like, what do you mean they are? They should be at the table. They're wearing their books. And I'm like, dude, this is home. You can school on the couch. So it was pretty cool to be able to realize that schooling from home is actually being at home and learning and doing fun things. So I caught the bug really quickly. And here's some things that I just want to share with you. This is an incredible opportunity to figure out what your own children's interests are. What are their talents? What do they want to do? And maybe they don't even know that yet, but if they have interest in things, so you just kind of toss things out there and see what takes, what sticks, and something's going to stick with each child. One child may be very interested in geology, like I had one that loved rocks, and so we got him a rock tumbler, and he thought that was the greatest thing ever. If I'd got a rock tumbler from my daughter who likes to write, she'd have looked at me and thought I was crazy. So for her, we bought her a subscription to an online magazine about how to read and write articles. And so we just did different things, and as we figured out who our children were. What an awesome opportunity we have to do that right now. When we send them to school, the teachers, the school system, they all tell us what our children have to learn. They tell our children what they have to learn. And they may have no interest in half of the things that they're learning. And they probably are things that they won't ever need. But now we have an opportunity to figure out what is it that they're interested in. So when they go back to school, we can help them in that path, whether it's through the school system or through supplementing at home and through community resources. And there's a plethora of those. So the internet has become like, I don't know, not just a homeschool mom's best dream, but a mom's best dream. Anything you want, it's there. And so kind of one of the main things that we do in homeschooling is called Google it. So when my kids come and ask a question, I say, well, even if I know the answer, I'll say, I don't know, go Google it and come back and tell me what the answer is. That's schooling, believe it or not. And sometimes they get so interested in the subject that they keep going. They'll keep looking for more and more information. They'll ask for books that they can read. It's pretty exciting to watch that. Math and science. Okay, I will just tell you that when it comes to math and science, there are all kinds of resources and in all of these subjects, and we have them available on our website. Under the COVID-19 Support Center, there's a whole section on schooling from home. We have a big list with all kinds of online resources, web games, and everything you could possibly imagine in every subject. All of that is true, and it's available. But there's also really fun things that you can do. And I'm in the process of compiling some of the things that we've done in our home to put some videos together and just show you some of these resources. But really, all you have to do is Google it. Just Google kitchen science experiments with kids. My kids have even found these and brought them to me. In fact, they scared me a couple of times with some of their experiments. So here's just an idea. Okay. You take a green grape, one green grape, you put it in the microwave, and you push the microwave on 10 seconds. Just watch and see what happens. I'm not going to tell you. Yes, it's completely safe, but don't let your kids do it alone. It's really cool what happens. So go find out yourself. Here's another one. I was going to ask my husband for help with this, but he's on a call because he's working from home. So here's another one. Okay, you take a little just light stick, you light the lighter, you open an orange with one of those cool orange zippers, and when the spray comes out, it has like a flame that comes out. It's pretty cool. Stuff like that. There's all kinds of things like that that you can do at home. When they say, hey, kids, don't do this at home, do it at home. It's totally fun. As long as mom's there. So mom and dad, have fun with your kids. There's so many cool things that you can do. History and geography. Incredible opportunity to teach our kids things that they probably aren't learning in school, because history has pretty much been taken out of school or made so boring our kids aren't interested in it. But history is one of the most exciting subjects there is. You're learning about what happened in the past to help you better prepare for the future. But cool stories. The Middle Ages is one of my favorite time period. I love learning about the Middle Ages. Everything from the Renaissance to the Reformation, the incredible things that were happening during that time. I just can't get enough of the Middle Ages. I don't know what it is about that. Because it kind of leads to America. History stories about our founding patriots, our heroes in history, all through history. There are great places to find this. One of my favorite websites is called Libraries of Hope. Yes, it's on our website. You don't have to take notes. Everything I'm telling you is on our website, or will be if it's not there yet. So Libraries of Hope is an incredible resource. Marlene Peterson is the publisher of this and founder of Libraries of Hope. And she has gone through the internet archives. She spent decades going through the internet archives, finding all of the best books on every subject. My favorite ones are the history, I won't lie. But there's all kinds of great books, from science to literature to poetry. But the history ones, she has a Freedom series that you can buy. But here's the cool thing. All of those stories are on the internet. They're archived. They're beautiful stories that were written during the golden age of literature, the late 1800s and early 1900s, when people wrote for the purpose of promoting faith, virtue, patriotism, those characters and virtues that we want to nurture in our children. All of those books promote that, but they also tell the stories of who we are through the people who lived there. And they're all available free. And not only are they all available free online, but she has categorized them by subject, by time period, by topic and geographical area. I mean, it's incredible. And it's all there available for you. And the link is on our website. Then Heritage Foundation has just put together an awesome link with all kinds of resources on where to get historical information. Teach Civics. And of course, Hillsdale has a plethora of video series from economics to public policy, and they just released one called The Story of America, Hope of the World. And they're doing that course right now, and they have an essay contest to go with it with a $500 prize. So there are all kinds of things out there. They're always out there, but it's like everybody's kind of stepping up to the plate and saying, how can we help you? Because here's the thing. The main thing that I realized, I'm already doing it. Even before I was schooling from home, I was already schooling and teaching my children. Mothers are the first teachers. I was already doing this. So when I started, I thought, I can't do this. And now I realize I already was. And that's what you are. You're already doing it. You've already taught your kids to tie their shoes. You've taught them hot and cold, right and wrong, ABCs. Now you can teach them these things. A few more quick things I want to throw out there is there's teacher mom resources that we have available. Things like you can schedule calendars and put calendars together, schedules, menus, make your own crossword puzzles. You will be amazed at what's available out there. And then just a couple of projects. Some of the things that we've done in our home, mini Olympics. And the javelin throw was toothpicks into cheese. It's just funny. We have all those I'm putting up on the website too. This is a great time to get together with your family and create books about your family. Mixbook, Shutterfly, they're both digital platforms where you can create your own books and with your pictures, and they have great graphics. This is a fun project you guys can do together. We've created a lot of those, and the kids love to read them. and you create them. You can see them online, but you can also order them in hard copy. And you know what have we got but time to gather pictures and do these little projects that we haven't been able to get to. They can create a me book about themselves. And then one of my favorite things is lap books. And lap books are just, everybody's got these things hanging around their house, the little folders. And this was one that I did on the medieval times, because of course that's my favorite time period. And you just create these little pages, and they keep flipping out. So you've got, they can pull out these little things here, so the kids can be as creative as they want to be, and they can do it about themselves. They can do it about their family. You can do your family history. I'm just telling you, what we have been given is a beautiful opportunity to connect with our families in a way that we didn't even realize was possible. So just remember these two things. One, you don't do it like everybody else. Schooling from home does not look like schooling in the public school system. Don't sit your kids at the table in front of a computer with a pen and a paper. They're going to get bored and they won't like you. But if you can sit them on a couch and give them a good book, sit down and read these books together, just do fun things together. They're going to learn more than you could possibly imagine. You're going to learn along with them, and you're going to have a great time. The second thing, remember that this is an opportunity for you to figure out what they love to do. Get to know your kids, their interests, and then you can continue to follow those when they go back to school. And final thing is, yes, moms, you absolutely can do this. Not only can you do it, you can rock this. So go out there and get going with the fun school, and we're here to help you anytime you need us.
Thank you so much. I love that personal story of how you got started. It really does pull at the mom heart when our kids even say, Mom, would you spend more time with us? Would you teach us? Would you show us? So moms, let's do the best we can at the HomeFront there. So thanks, Kim. You are amazing. We love you. You can see why she's our president. Let me go ahead and introduce our next speaker. And this is something that all of us I know are very interested in, because when situations like this happen, we wonder, am I really prepared? Wow, what does my cupboard look like? What does my freezer look like? What do I have in stock? I did have a lot of people call me about various questions. We are preppers over here, so we've done a good bit of preparing, but you never think you need preparing until something like this happens. I always thought my husband was maybe a little bit too much, but now I'm really glad. And still, when we go to the grocery store, what do we do? What do we buy? What type of recipes? What type of inventory? And that's why this next person is so important to help us make sure that we're kind of on the right journey here. Let me tell you about Rhonda Hare. She is a family defending, homemaking, homeschooling mom of 8. What is this with all this moms of 8s? Huh? You and Kimberly, moms of 8. This is wonderful. Rhonda is the Provident Homemaker. That's the name of her website as well, providenthomemaker.com. She grew up on a farm where their parents taught her to make do, work hard, smile, and help others. I love that. providenthomemaker.com. And Rhonda is here to talk about preparing with confidence. We need this, Rhonda. Welcome, welcome.
Thank you. So, like the topic is called, it's preparing with confidence. I like the way Kimberly phrased it. She called it turning from panic into power. So that's what we're trying to do as moms. So today in my segment, we'll talk about why we should be doing this, and then a little bit of how to do it. And all of the information that I'll cover will be not only on the main website, but you can also find it on my website, which is just the providenthomemaker.com. So the quick answer on why we prepare is so that we are more self-reliant, so that we have more security with our family, with our home. When all this crazy hit about 3 weeks ago in my state, I took a couple of my teenagers down to the grocery store around the corner, and we just went with a camera and we went talking. So we walked up and down the aisles and we just checked everything out, looked at what was completely decimated from the shelves, the things that were mostly gone, and then the things that people hadn't even touched yet. So we had some really interesting conversations about why these things were chosen. Why did they want? Why peanut butter and bread? Why pasta and spaghetti sauce? It was quick meals. It was food people are used to eating, but things that they wouldn't have to think about. But as we walked through, none of us were feeling panicked, even though this was something I'd never seen before, because we were okay at home. I knew that we had food for my family. I didn't have to buy whatever was left. There were seriously 2 loaves of bread on the entire bread aisle. It was astonishing. So I was talking to a friend about preparing and building up food, and she said, now, isn't it a little bit late now? Well, it depends. Late for what? Are you late to prepare for what's going on now? Well, preparing means doing things ahead of time. So yeah, you're late for doing something ahead of time for now, but you're not too late to be wise in the middle of it, and you're not too late to prepare for whatever life throws at you next. There are a million things that can happen and do happen on a regular basis. So as we're looking at these shelves, for us, it's a really foreign thing, but this is how a lot of the world functions on a regular basis. This isn't new everywhere. It's just kind of a new way for us. So my church has focused on food storage and financial preparation for decades and decades. They teach it worldwide. They teach it in Argentina, where these little moms can't even afford to buy an extra bag of sugar to store for their family. But you can always do something. So these moms save an extra tablespoon. They find a way to cut a little bit, and then they save what they've managed to store. We always have power to do something. We can grow things, we can glean things, we can conserve, we can waste less. And when I was 10 years old, at the time I lived down in Texas, in a big city, and my family moved to a farm in eastern Utah, little tiny valley. We were on 1,200 acres. My nearest neighbor was a half-mile down the street, and that was my aunt and my cousins that lived there. We were really isolated, and we were really poor. We would have made more if we had just accepted welfare than if we were doing all these hours on the farm, but that wasn't the way we lived. And my mom was powerful. She was smart. She was determined. She knew how to conserve things. She knew how to be creative with them. And she was that mom glue that we needed. Now, as I've been thinking of how I grew up and how I've been raised and what's been going on here, a scripture has come to mind, and it's just stuck in my head for the last 2 weeks. It's one in Proverbs, and it goes, "She is not afraid of the snow for her household." That's what we're going for here. We don't want to be afraid of what is coming here. So I'll pull that up and read it to you. So there's a verse that we're more familiar with a little bit earlier in the chapter. It's Proverbs 31. The famous verse in here is 10, sorry. "Who can find a virtuous woman? For her price is far above rubies." Well, I love learning, and I love learning about the original language that this was written in. So I looked up to see what the word for virtuous was and what maybe the translation didn't carry across. What meaning was there that might not have come across into the English? So the word for virtuous is the Hebrew kail, and it means a force, something strong, something powerful. So it's saying, who can find a strong, powerful woman? Her price is far above rubies. Now, I'll read you some more in that chapter. Down on verse 21, "She is not afraid of the snow for her household, for all her household are clothed with scarlet." It's a color that is representative of warmth and comfort. "Strength and honor are her clothing, and she shall rejoice in the time to come." That's maybe better translated as she smiles at the future. She's not worried. "She looketh well to the ways of her household, and eateth not the bread of idleness. Her children arise up and call her blessed, her husband also, and he praiseth her. Many daughters have done virtuously." Remember, virtue is power. So many daughters have been powerful or strong, but thou excellest them all because of what she does in her home. "Favor is deceitful and beauty is vain, but a woman that feareth the Lord, she shall be praised. Give her of the fruit of her hands, and let her own works praise her in the gates." We have this kind of power, this kind of opportunity in our homes, with our children, with our husbands, and just how we run our household. we have that ability to be a Kyle woman, a strong, powerful woman, and not be afraid of the snow for our household. Now, when we lived on the farm, we were 2 hours from the nearest grocery store. So we went shopping once a month, and that was it. There were 7 children at home at the time, so we had 9 people to feed. And we went through 6 gallons of milk a week. Now, there's no way that we were going to be able to fit 24 gallons of milk in that refrigerator. So here's my mom being smart. We always had a family storehouse. We had a room where we had food for our family. We had more food there than probably anywhere else in the valley. And powdered milk was down there. So she would, as we needed milk, she'd take 1 of those gallons of fresh milk and she'd mix up 3 gallons of powdered milk and then combine the 2. So it had less of the powdered milk taste. We still had the fresh milk. And that way, the 6 gallons eventually became 24 over the course of the month. And so we got our 24 gallons. That was a Kyle woman. Now, on the farm too, we had beef cows, so we had our own meat. There was a neighbor across the street who had a pig farm, so we traded beef for pork. We had currants and elderberries and choke cherries and bullberries and all kinds of things that just grew wild on the farm, so we'd go pick those and make jelly out of them. We had a huge garden. The only vegetables I ever remember buying were iceberg lettuce. We grew leaf lettuce, frozen peas, because those are really labor intensive to shell enough peas for a family, and tomato sauce. I think those were the only things we bought. So the rest we would grow. So we would freeze, we would bottle. We had an insulated pit in the garden where we'd store our carrots through the winter. And whenever we needed an ingredient, we either figured out a substitute if we didn't have something, or we just went without. It was a whole different mindset. Now we're looking at what's going on with the stores, with the supply chain. I do think the supply chain will catch up. We just have to be smart with what we're doing now and prepare for the future. And we're seeing how fragile this is, and it makes us really appreciate what these traditional ways of doing things were. Now I live in a valley where there are 1 million other people. So I'm not on the farm. I can't do all those same things that I could on the farm, but there's still some of the same things I can do. It's still a lifestyle adjustment. So I grow things, I preserve things, I look for foods and times that I get things when people don't want them. Before I moved to this house, we've got 8 mature fruit trees on this property. Before we were on this property, I would go around the neighborhoods and just look for things like somebody who had apples falling off the tree. And I'd go up and knock on the door and I'd say, hey, would you like some help harvesting these apples? Or are you going to use these apples? And 9 times out of 10, people would say, oh, I would be so grateful if you'd take these. I feel so guilty seeing all this food go to waste. So that's one way of finding food. What you find will vary by your circumstance, but having and building a family storehouse is a wonderful, important thing, and God will help you with this. Pray to know what to do. What is your family going to need? Now, some people have been asking, what's the difference between preparing and hoarding? Times like this, we hear a lot about hoarding. So I've thought about it, I've looked up definitions and tried to decide, and what I concluded was hoarding is based on coveting and selfishness. And it could be on one or either sides of the equation. It could be just as simple as somebody else is jealous of what you have. They're angry that you have it because they don't. That's just coveting. That's not a new thing. Or it could be that somebody really is hoarding and they're like a dragon that is just clutching its gold and breathing out fire at anybody who comes near. Don't be this. So there's God's way of preparing, and then there's every other way. God's way is based on loving God first and loving your neighbor as yourself. So if you're going to be building your food storage, you're going to do it in a way that's not going to cause problems for your neighbor. You're not going to wipe out what's on the shelf. You're going to buy things when people don't want them or when they're less expensive. And when things are in more demand, you're going to back off. And plus, you're going to have some already, so you don't have to worry about it when it is a high demand time. So the way of building this well is it's based in love, it's based on service, it's self-reliance, and it's being a good steward of what you have. So what is the ideal that we want to work towards? Well, there are 5 parts to the way my church teaches it and the way I teach it. One is to have a 2-week supply of water for every person. So it's 1 gallon per person per day. There's more about that on the website too. Having a financial reserve, even if it's just a little bit, just have a little cushion sitting someplace you can get to. And then a 3-month supply of the foods that you eat every day with the recipes you use all the time. Look at what things can be stored, and what is in your refrigerator and your freezer totally counts towards this 3-month supply. It can be a bag of fish sticks in the freezer. It doesn't matter what it is. If you can store it for 3 months, you're good. The other 2 parts are a good supply of basic foods that store for a long time, like 10 to 30 years or more, and having the skills to be able to use them. That's a big one too. So the foods that store that long, the 10 to 30 years, those are things like grains, beans and other legumes, sugar, salt, that will store forever. And you will need some oil too. It has a shorter shelf life. You have to rotate it more. So how do you do it? Again, this is where my website is going to be better, because this can be really overwhelming to somebody when they're starting, but just realize you have started. If you have any food of any kind in your house, you have started. So the box of baking soda in the cupboard, that counts. The 1 canister of salt, that counts. The ice cream in the freezer, that counts. Anything that you have counts towards what your family would eat in 3 months. So the basics are, first, you decide to do it. Second, you need to find a place to store it so you can keep it organized and take good care of it, being that good steward, and make a plan. So be smart with your plan it out, pray about it, do it with love. Don't go into debt. That's not going to be a helpful thing. Purchase more when things are cheaper, purchase less when they're more expensive, and learn to waste less as you're building your family storehouse. So if you go to my website, there are a few different tabs across that you're able to click on. Go all the way over to the one that says 52 weeks of building storage. There are going to be charts there. There are going to be links there to click on that you can do a week at a time. My local congregation leader asked me to come up with a plan where everybody could reach these 5 goals in the space of 52 weeks. So that it's broken down in bite-sized steps there. If you need to do it faster, do it faster. If you need to do it slower, do it slower. Whatever is going to fit for your family. So some of the things that you might see on there is, here's my low-tech version to help the screens. You'll see something like this. This is just the graph of, it's on the page, of what to do in what order. I also have things like a checklist. If you're going under quarantine, these are things that you might want to make sure you have on hand, things that you might not have remembered. And then just decide that you're going to do this. Commit to it, follow through. You'll take an inventory. All of this is on my website. Take an inventory. Again, you already have started this. Find ways to build on what you have already. Find ways to make it fit in your budget. Again, this is all there. I've got a frequently asked questions page. And just as finishing up, what is the point of being self-reliant? Sure, it's family security. That's a big thing. But if we stop there, we really have missed the big point, because we're all family. We're all God's family. And what we're doing is so that we can help and strengthen others. We can be the mom glue in our families and in our neighborhoods. Families are the basic foundation, and however our family goes is how the nation goes. You can be a Kyle woman. You can be not afraid of the snow for your household. So if you have any questions, you can contact me on my website. You can leave questions with Moms for America, or you can email me, and it's singyourwayhome@comcast.net. Thank you.
Thank you so much for joining us. And the information that you shared, Rhonda, was truly invaluable. I think from a storage perspective, it's going to be a great resource for me to be able to get those tips and tricks from you. Well, it wasn't too far in the distant past where families could literally be lined up on a couch, but they're each have their nose down into their own individual screens and they're watching their own programming while there's programming on the TV. Okay, maybe it's just my house or that of my grandladies. No. I think that's a trend that has been really, really prevalent. But Melanie, she has got some great tips and information about how we can tackle this huge challenge of screen time. So, it is great to have you with us, Melanie. She is a mom of 4, and she's the founder of Screen Strong. She educates moms just like you and me on the negative consequences of excessive screen use and teaches us how do we incorporate a healthier alternative into our everyday life. So thanks for joining us, Melanie. We're really excited to have you.
Thank you so much. I'm so glad to be here. I just have to give you a little bit about my background. So I'm a nurse. I have 4 kids. My oldest child, Adam, became very addicted to video games right under my nose. I had no clue what was going on. I don't know if you've ever had anything like this happen to you in your home where something happens and you can't believe it happened in your house. Well, this is what was happening with me with Adam. He played his video game all day long. I thought he was okay because I thought he was safe. He was not getting into trouble. And he actually had some pretty good grades, so we didn't worry. But when he went to college, what happened is he still played video games. And he did not finish his classes. And he ended up dropping out of school. And this is not something that you wish for your kids. So after 5 years in the military, our story kind of turned around. And he actually did really well. But what I ended up doing is starting a group for moms. The first meeting that we had, I put a little flyer up on the school door, and we had 125 moms come that were struggling with screen issues in their home. This was very depressing because I wanted to be the only one, but I wasn't. So I had to figure out quickly how to get all this science and everything I had learned in to help moms, because I didn't want this thing to happen to them. So there are going to be some of you moms out there that maybe don't know what we're talking about and don't struggle with screen time in their home. But there's going to be the vast majority of you that really do struggle with this in their home. And you're trying to figure out, in light of all of this time we have now in this pandemic where all our kids are coming home and we're doing all the screen learning and distance learning, we're trying to figure out how to balance it all. So the first thing I want to tell you is to take a deep breath and realize that you can actually do something about the screen time in your home right now. I want to be very clear, though, that it can be a very big problem if you have a child who's just kind of on that borderline, like my Adam was, of really struggling with the screen overuse problem, a dependency, we like to call it. So the question is, should you worry about screen time right now? I mean, after all, this is kind of like a vacation, right? Where your kids are coming home, and you know what? I have found that I've been making dessert every night. I don't ever make dessert. So I think we have to take off this vacation hat and realize that our kids have to get out of their pajamas, they have to get dressed, they have to get to work on school. And that means that we don't relax our screen rules. So I want to tell you a little story really quickly about what happened to a family a number of years ago. I do workshops, and I have a lot of families and moms that come to my workshop. And screen addiction happens in your home in all different ways. And for this family, what happened was her high school soccer player son broke his leg. So he was home for a really unusual, amount of time. He normally wouldn't be sitting on the couch for 6 weeks. But as he came home, their routine changed. Does this sound familiar? What's happening right now? Their routine changed. And what ended up happening was their son got addicted to video games. And do you know that he never went back to his soccer team? And this was a real changing point in their life. And this is something that I just don't want to happen to any mom out there, just because they don't realize maybe that this is something that can really happen quickly, even in 6 weeks. So I want to give you a couple points. You can go to our website, of course, at screenstrong.com and get a lot of other information. But what I want to tell you is that your child can actually develop a problem in a short period of time. So this short-term binging really is not a good idea. And I want to be sensitive because I know that people are working from home. I know that you're not sure, what to do while you're working, right? There's a lot of things you have to think about. So the screen babysitter becomes so easy to just put all your kids on their screen so you can get some work done. There are a lot of things we need to think about because that's going to actually cause a lot of problems down the road. We either pay now or pay later with this, and we have to be very, very strong in our resolve on this issue of screen time. I want you to realize the second thing is that all screens are not created equal. So when your kids are watching TV, for example, even though that's not great, that is still better than if they're playing Fortnite for 4 hours or if they are scrolling on their Instagram for that long. So we have to sort of understand which screens are better than others. If you're watching something on YouTube, like Kimberly talked about earlier, that's wonderful. Obviously, they have to do their homework. So these entertainment screens are different. The recreational screens are different from the educational screens. Even though the American Academy of Pediatrics says 2 hours a day is all we want to, put our kids on, that's really hard to follow. So let's talk about how to avoid the dependency building up during the quarantine. The first thing that I want you to think about is this whole idea of reducing use, just across the board. Just reduce use in your home. And some things you may want to just think about taking their phones away. Yes, I said it. Take their smartphones away. Our kids don't have smartphones. We have the basic phone, so they can text their friends. But right now, actually, our kids don't really need a lot of phone time because they're with you. So you don't need to worry where they are. You know where they are, and you don't need to be in touch with them. The next thing, you want to rethink the devices. So, maybe give those phones a rest and those video games. And you want to think about putting maybe just using one screen in your home, like the TV in the den or your living room. And just tell kids, you know what, we're not having all the stuff in all the bedrooms. We're going to have it just in one central place that I can keep an eye and know what you're doing. I don't know if you know this or not. You probably don't, but I will tell you, the porn industry is capitalizing on this opportunity. In fact, in some countries, Pornhub is offering free access to all their platforms. So we know statistically now we're watching the use go up with pornography, also child predator. They are out there waiting to capitalize on this. So we cannot have this happen right under our nose and right under our roof. You want to reclaim your child, and we mentioned this earlier in the broadcast. You want to get really excited about things that they can do that maybe they don't normally do and they can do now. And then you want to reconnect your family. So let's look at 5 things, and you can look at my website later on today. I'm going to have these things up there. But I just want to try to very quickly go through some tips for you because you're in a little bit of a panic and you don't know what you're going to do without your Fortnite and your video games and your screens for your kids. I mean, after all, do you want teenagers sitting around talking to you all day? Actually, yes, you do. So you want to try to get rid of all those distractions. So the first thing is to sharpen your current screen rules. Just because we're in a pandemic and we're home, and many of us are homeschooling when we're not, used to doing that maybe, doesn't mean that we get lax on our screen rules. If you had a rule where you only had video games during the weekend, then you need to stick to that. We should not, like I said, we should not pretend like we're on vacation. We are not on vacation. We need to stick to our current rules. And I'll even tell you to go the step further and even get stricter with your rules. You're going to figure out that all that downtime is going to get converted very easily to screen time. And this is what we want to try to prevent. You want to choose, like I said, TV shows and certain YouTube things over that recreational screen time that your kids are normally doing. We have a challenge on our site that we are running. It's a Screen Strong Challenge, and it's when you take a week off of your games and a week off of your phone. And this just may be a really good time to do that. I know it sounds really counterculture, but it's going to be very hard for you to manage all your kids being home and all their screen activity going on at the same time. It's just going to be very, very hard. The second thing is huge. It's very important. And this involves making a daily schedule. And every website you go to, I'm sure all your homeschool sites and everything out there says when your kids come home, you've got to have a schedule. And the same is really true here with your screen time. Your screen time can't be in that schedule. That's really not what you want. You don't want to schedule 5 hours of your kids on a screen. So you want to do things like exercise. Even yesterday, my kids were outside pulling weeds. They got a lot of exercise doing that. So I want you to think of things that you can do as far as exercise, calisthenics, push-ups, sit-ups, all these things that you can do super easy. You don't have to go to the gym. The other thing, especially with boys, is to make it a competition between dad and mom or, other siblings in your house. Just kind of make that a competition between them, and boys will really like it. You want to schedule reading time. So in the schedule that you're putting together, please put reading time. I know that sounds really hard, especially if you have kids that don't like to read. Now's a good time to get them reading. And you have family reading roundups where you all read, and you have this on your schedule. So they don't get to gripe about it. We all get our little blankets and get on the couch and we just start reading as a family. And then we got to talk about what we read. You want to start building a habit. This is a fabulous time to start building these habits and get your kids off their screens. You want to schedule a variety of really purposeful things, because our kids lose their purpose when they are constantly on screen entertainment. And every child needs to have a purpose. They need to learn how to, of course, cook and do some things like that. But there's a lot of things that you can do to help them think through, okay, is this activity really going to help them mentally have a purpose and feel like they're part of our family? The third thing is building life skills. And so for homeschool parents, they're used to doing this. They don't even know any different. But for parents and moms who are not used to their kids being home, you may all of a sudden realize that your kids don't know how to cook a meal. They don't know how to clean the bathroom. Maybe they don't know how to vacuum. I know it sounds crazy, but when we reduced and removed screen entertainment from our house, our kids blossomed in all these other areas, and it became just part of their growing up. And it made them feel good. So I want you to think about the life skills, and we have a list on our website of life skills that may be a good checklist for you to see, hey, what can we work on right now? We have time to do this. In your home, you're together, you can teach them how to do things. The other thing that you need to put in your schedule is to have some new hobbies. This is a perfect time, because we normally don't have time to learn new things. This is a perfect time to learn new things, whether it's just little things like knitting or solving a Rubik's Cube. You can go to YouTube and you can figure things out, and your kids can spend a lot of time concentrated on things that they've been wanting to do. You've got to also think about this. What about their work skills? Putting this in their schedule. What about if they they learn to type? Because kids don't know how to type, by the way. If you think your kids are playing video games and know how to type, they don't. That has nothing to do with typing. That's all about swiping. So kids know how to swipe, they don't know how to type. So what about some typing lessons? How about teaching them how to do an Excel spreadsheet? All of these things they're not going to get dependent on. They're not going to get addicted to. So that might be something to consider. So the fourth tip is not to leave your kids alone on their screens. Now this is going to be kind of tricky, because you're saying, well, I've got to work. I've got all these things I've got to do. And I'm going to say, then fine. If you are not able to really know what your kids are doing on their screens, then they should not be on their screens. You've got to check and recheck your parental controls on every device. That's why I recommend getting rid of or boxing up as many devices as you can at this point, and only keep a few of them out, because you're not going to be able to chase them all down all over your house. So check and reset the parental controls. And this means the parental controls on your TV, on your Netflix, on all your streaming devices. And also remember that when your phone resets and goes through updates, you have to go back in and reset those parental controls. I want you to, again, reduce the number of screens so you don't get crazy over this. It's going to be really hard to set parental controls on 10 screens in your house. So try to reduce that use. And then the fifth thing, of course, is just what we're talking about today, using this time to create memories with your family. What you don't want to do, and I agree so much with Dr. Rose at the beginning, your attitude has so much to do with how your kids are going to come through this. And we teach this in our workshops all the time, even with screen time. We do have a program where you can actually eliminate social media from your kid's life. I know that sounds crazy. Or eliminate video games if it's causing problems. But you know what? It's not that hard. It's not that hard, but it depends on your attitude. And I want you to say also about creating memories, and I know that we're going to be, Melissa's going to touch on this here in just a second, about what you can do to connect your family in your home. You want to initiate these conversations. You want to find times that you'd never had before. I'm talking to families now, they're actually having family dinners again. This is a wonderful blessing. Think about topics that you want to bring up. Tell those family stories. Get those scrapbooks out and go through and talk about your history. Another really good tip is to keep background music on in your house. And you get to kind of be in charge of that a little bit. We get into the 70s and we love listening to all those singers and songwriters. And you have the power. You are the coach. You get to keep this music on. And let me tell you what this will do. This will keep your kids off of their addictive screens. When you can keep music on, and as a family, you can enjoy this together. And then I want you to remember to play together. Of course, board games and crossword puzzles, we talked about that earlier. We keep a big 1,000-piece puzzle out in our den at all times, all through the year. And it's a constant area that people go in our family, and we're always working on a puzzle, and then we're always talking. So I just think you need to be very, very careful. So if you are worried, or if you're asking, should I worry about screen addiction during this pandemic? I'm going to tell you, yes, you should. Many families can't handle the extra hours of video games and social media in their kids' lives. And we have a little book. I have 3 books, but I have one little book right now, The Screen Strong Solution, where it will teach you how to pull your kids off their addictive screens. This is very serious. This is something that is changing our kids' health, it's changing their potential, it's changing all of their futures, and we have to get a handle on it. So go to our website, go to screenstrong.com, go to our Facebook. We will help you. If you need any help at all, please reach out and email me. If you have a child who you're not sure if they're having problems, you can go take the test on our website and email me, and I will help you. So thank you so much for everything today.
Thank you, Melanie. That was awesome. I have to tell you just one quick funny story here at our house. We're talking about projects. So the beginning of this, we all made a list. My kids were semi-excited and semi-not excited, along with my husband. But my daughter and I put in our black backsplash behind our kitchen sink there. I gave both of my sons the put-togethers that had been in the garage. I had a bookshelf and a desk. And I said, here you go. Here's a big project. Well, they were like, not too fun, Mom. So they helped me put bookshelves and desks together, and we're also putting down a floor in our bathroom upstairs that we've been wanting to do. So working together on projects is really it's a great time. It couldn't be better for all of us. And thank you for those tips. I wrote them all down myself because it really is a challenge here at home. How do we handle the screen time? And it's not only a screen time for the kids, it's a screen time for us as parents too. So I have to really be careful that I'm not on my phone or on my computer all the time, and really be a model for my kids, because it's easy for us to get on it too when things are different, when our schedules are different. So thank you so much, and I really do appreciate you sharing those tips, because boy, do we need them. One of the other things we want to share is that we have our COVID-19 resource page on our website, which again was momsforamerica.us. Great resource for all kinds of information. I mean, we've got how to work from home, prepping, homeschooling, how to help the elderly. We've got a great page that Kim has worked very hard on that is sharing great resources for us in this period of time. So go to our I always say Facebook because I'm on Facebook all the time, but go to our website, and on there will be a link to our COVID-19 resource page. And I just was going to mention too, a lot of moms are trying to figure out, what can we do in our community? What can we do together? What unites us? There's a couple things I just like to suggest. We have a couple minutes real quick, is that we're checking on the elderly. And I know that everyone is checking on the elderly, but it is our compromised community. They are the ones that need to be home. I work for a state representative. I'm a chief of staff, and we are texting and calling 14,000 seniors in our district, making sure that they're staying home, and if they need help, we're going to get them a volunteer. So churches, neighbors, representatives, forms of government, we need to be helping our seniors and telling them to stay home. We want to help you. So check on seniors in your neighborhood. That would be a great thing for your kids to do if they needed to run to the post office or get their mail or go to the library for them. Let's be servants in this time. Also, food pantries are very, very low on helpers, and they're overwhelmed. It's another great need that we're seeing here in Illinois, and I'm sure all the other states. Tonight, I am participating in a food bank truck where we are handing out meals for somewhere between 200 to 300 families. They drive up, we load it in their back, their trunk, and they go home with food. So food bank trucks are now going into communities and helping with food crisis. Also masks. That's another thing. People are, what can I do at home? What can I do? Kim and I were talking about this the other day. Food or masks that you can make at home. No, they're not code, but a couple of the nurses told me any protection is great protection. So now everyone is wearing masks, not just your healthcare workers. So people in the nursing home that are preparing food, or even people that are cleaning, doing all different things, are wearing masks. So make masks and check with your healthcare providers in the area and your nursing homes. We actually, on our Facebook page, we have a post on there with a pattern, a how-to video, and Joanne Fabrics is donating all of the materials needed, fabric for it. So there's a lot of ways that we can help. So I'm just encouraging Meals on Wheels too. I'm not sure what they call that in every state, but here in Illinois it's called Meals on Wheels, and it's food delivery for the seniors. We have had incredible calls from the Meals on Wheels in different counties saying most of our volunteers were seniors. So we don't have drivers now because we're telling the seniors to stay home. So call your senior food delivery service in your area, and that is another great project that your kids can do and your family can do. Just some insight here. Boy, I just want to say thank you to Melissa. She is the incredible rock star that helped us put together this virtual conference. Thank you, Melissa. But let me tell you about Melissa a little bit. She is the mom to 3, and she has 5 grandlovies. I love that. I love that she calls them that. Melissa's worked extensively with advocacy and grassroots organizations to champion the sanctity of life. Amen and amen. She's working to defend religious liberty and advance Christian values. She currently serves, this is really a great announcement for us, she currently serves as our Moms for America Director of Media and Marketing. And she's going to share some ideas on how to stay together when everybody's feeling so disconnected. It's like, go away, but we can't go away. We can't go away from one another. We have to stay connected. We have to still be a community. And this is what Melissa's going to share with us today. So thank you again, Melissa, for doing an incredible job with this virtual conference. Take it away.
Well, I'm so excited to be here. And, wow. I'm trying to wrap my mind around all of the amazing information that we've received today. It just shows me that there is such a treasure trove of knowledge inside of our homes, and that's starting with our mamas. So where are we now in the world? As it was mentioned earlier, we had folks telling us that, our country is essentially shutting down in ways unlike ever before. And for some of us in certain cities across the country, we've even been told to shelter in place or stay at home. So rather than even being able to go out and about with a little bit of freedom, but keeping that 6-foot distance rule, we're physically confined within our homes with our loved ones. And the whole idea of loved one has a whole new meaning when you're quarantined down, doesn't it? Literally everything outside of our home is canceled. And for many of us, it's a real shift and change from all this busy schedule of being the bus driver and the getting the kids from one place to another and all the activities, because we're plugged in and really supporting them. So how do we shift that energy and the time that we have as moms and even as wives to bring activities into the home. So Melanie has mentioned some of those great ways that you can engage, not just on technology, but heart to heart and eyeball to eyeball. I like to say around here in my house, we like to connect, and it begins with a direct form of eye contact. So how can we do that when literally everything outside is canceled and we're trying to adhere to physical distancing and we're stuck in the confines of our home? We're missing all the social events that we wanted to be doing, our book clubs and our Bible study groups and our friend visits and even our family dinners. What can that look like now? Well, I want to take a little nod from those that have gone before us. And I'm not necessarily talking about the moms that have gone before us in this country, although they do have great information. I want to mention our friends across the pond, those that have already experienced the COVID-19 situation. We've seen on newscasts across the country that the folks in Italy have been quarantined for quite a very long time. But they have inspired me to look at my neighborhood and the street in which I live in a whole new light. You know, I've seen the videos and newscasts of them coming out onto their balcony and waving to a neighbor and to a friend and bringing back a sense of hospitality and warmth, to even playing music from their balconies as well, and others joining in. I was sitting out back reading yesterday, and I stopped for a moment, and I was like, wow, is that the band? And what I came to realize is just across the neighborhood, I could see him as I peered over my fence. There was a young man out practicing his snare drum, and a couple houses down was actually a young lady on her saxophone. Our whole entire neighborhood was blessed with music. So you might have a special talent in your house, one of your little stars, budding stars. Let them go sing. Sing for not only the family in the house, but turn your backyard into a way that you've got a stage for the whole entire neighborhood. Now, don't be annoying. I'm not saying doing it at the wee hours of the night, but an occasional getting connected with your neighbor and getting friendly again would be a lot of fun. Speaking of neighbors, I love the idea of reconnecting, but again, we've got to keep that distance. In the neighborhood in which I live, we actually have picket fences that enclose our property line. But I'm getting to know my neighbor, and we actually had a chat through the fence the other day. Why not invite your neighbor to a backyard chit chat? Set up your own picnic. Let them set up theirs. Get to know each other, even if it's a conversation through the fence. It may seem odd, but it's a new way to connect. Speaking of back fences and those things that divide us, why not turn them into something amazing that inspires us? Why not take some masking tape and turn your back fence with some chalk and some masking tape into a palette, or even an interesting game where you and your neighbor can share pictures back and forth, or your loved ones. Be intentional is really what I'm saying. And I think that's the theme that Melanie and so many of our other moms have shared today, is to schedule and to plan and be intentional. You know, growing up, I wasn't a planner sort of person. I didn't want to be scheduled in a box. I was more of a broad stroke kind of person, but I have found there's great freedom in intentionality of connecting as well as in scheduling. So why not create a calendar as a family? For those moms of you that are used to working outside the house home and having board meetings and scheduling meetings, or dreaded all day long Monday meetings of planning, why not get your family organized and take your boardroom to the breakfast table and allow your kiddos to have input about what the scheduling looks like for homeschooling, activities for break times, activities for the early evening. Why not appoint a new temporary director of entertainment or communication for the night and raise your kid up to be the one that leads out on the games for the evening or introducing the upcoming meeting or the upcoming movie that you might share as a family tonight. Go ahead and tap those kids into the role of leadership right there in your own home. Also, make a point of being very intentional during dinner time. As Melanie mentioned just previously, why not open it up to family time, conversation time? When was the last time you sat and had a conversation with your kiddo and they learned what your favorite food was or your favorite memory as a child? When was the last time you even had that conversation with your spouse? Those are the connection points that matter. We often grow up together and live alongside each other, but there's still been a disconnect for far too long in our home. So what I'm suggesting is get connected with every opportunity that you have. Dinner time's a great way. Unfortunately, my mama, I get emotional when I talk about her because I'm missing her, and that's okay. But a great way to connect with her is through FaceTime. We might have dinner together. I can prop her up on my table. Yes, I am advocating for select screen time, but let her see what we're doing. Let her be included in our dinner conversation. I was talking with a friend the other day, and we actually talked about doing FaceTime disconnected bingo. As a family, get creative. It doesn't matter the physical distance because we have the technical bridge. Just make it your family flavor of the night. Find a good video chat platform. Now, I know we don't want to get, in the habit of allowing our kids to have uncontrolled screen time or us to even become messy with our own schedules and get distracted with screen time. But if we're scheduling things out and we're very intentional as a family to be connected through platforms in certain ways, this is really a great way to reach outside of our four walls. So what I mean by that, Sunday night Bible study with a group of women that I love to have, why not? Let's still get together. We can do it via speakerphone. We can still cover scripture. We can still do it via Skype or Google Hangouts or any number of other platforms, but it's a way that I can connect and a way that they know that I'm praying with them. Churching together. How do we do that? Many of our churches have become very tech savvy and are going ahead and being very intentional about having Sunday service published online. As for me and my family, my husband and I were doing it previously, but now with all of us, it's a great chance for us to line up as a family and engage even watching church service on television or online. But what we're also able to do is pick out a family scripture for the week, meditate on that, pray with each other together, and then really come back together before our next Sunday while we're having a conversation over one of our dinner times, and let the others know in our family what that means to us. Again, a real authentic connection of the heart based in God's word, but it also is a great way by leading through example to teach your children about your faith and how God is ever present in your life and how you will unashamedly speak his word. And it's important enough with you to teach that and infuse that at dinner time and all time that is family time. So in addition to doing fun things like having a book club, you can be intentional to have a fun little girls get together. What I mean by little girls, I don't mean are we girls. I mean you and me moms. We need to connect and have that mom time too. It's part of self-care. We have to take care of ourselves so that we can be more authentically plugged in, replenished, rejuvenated, so that we can be that new scheduler, that new teacher, that new organizer that maybe we haven't had to be in quite a while or ever before. So practicing self-care by intentionally taking times out for yourself and having your husband take over for a while, or one of the other kiddos, or even scheduling with your younger kids where they have some self-care time or some quiet time. Remember the quiet game? Some quiet time. Whatever it is you need to do to schedule some self-care time for you, connect with friends, connect with family, connect with yourself, connect with your faith, and teach those very same principles through your leadership by setting the example that this is a healthy way for our kiddos to live too. I'll be the first to admit that my life has been very out of balance for a very long time. And I've had to be very intentional about getting it back in balance to care for myself so that I can be the kind of mom, the kind of wife, the kind of daughter, the kind of Christian that I should be. It's about relationship, and this is for such a time as this, ladies. You know, I heard the other day, and it stuck with me, and it's my favorite. It's kind of my favorite little way of looking at the situation now. God has put everyone in timeout. As a country and as in the world, and maybe even in some of our households, we've been behaving badly. Our priorities have been out of whack. And so he's put us in timeout, and he's sent us into our homes so that we can reconnect and become the light, so that when he calls us back out, which is hopefully sooner than later, we can reconnect with our communities and have a greater appreciation more now than ever. Mix it up, ladies. Mix it up. Check in on your neighbors. There's a way you can do that without having to, violate the physical distancing that we have. When was the last time you introduced yourself to a neighbor? You may not know your neighbor down the street's name, but I bet you have their address. When was the last time that you wrote a letter? When was the last time the kiddos hand wrote a letter? When was the last time you engaged with a stranger and introduced yourself? This is a unique opportunity to go old school in some ways, such as connecting through the mail. But it's also a new way of teaching our children to lay this phone down and connect heart to heart. Plus, it's a great thing you can incorporate into homeschooling. You're learning penmanship and spelling and writing and social skills as well. Bring a little joy. Bring a little joy to those outside the confines of your home. And how can you do that? Well, I mentioned sending a letter. Bring a little joy to those outside the confines of your home by doing something that might bring you a little joy. I know as for me, growing up with the kiddos, we had lots of art projects and things that accumulated, drawings and crafts and things that were around, and I never wanted to get rid of them, and they were growing like stacks, but I always wanted to organize my home, and the chaos got to be a little bit overwhelming. Well, go through those, and I felt bad about throwing them away, but here's a great opportunity to take them, and instead of throwing them away, why not package them up and send them to a senior citizen's home? Residents where they need a little joy from the outside, and having a little handwritten note, or what I like to call artwork recycled with a handwritten note on it, or a master signature from your master artist. Send that off. And then once we're able to get back in the community, be intentional about go visiting those folks. And I bet your kiddos and your heart will be delighted when you see that those folks have that artwork up in their room. Make it fun. Make it fun. And what I mean by it, I mean all activities. It's okay, mamas. You make the rules. It's okay for you to rewrite some of the rules. It's okay if dinner time happens at breakfast time, and breakfast time happens at dinner time. And oh, by the way, if you don't want to take my lead, you can even have dessert at breakfast. whatever the upside down day looks like, it can be a lot of fun. It can be controlled chaos, and it can be scheduled. Have a dance night where the family gets together, and as they're turning up that music, we are engaging in a new way. Use the technology then and then only to take videos and send to family members that can't be with you. It's also a great way to mark those memories for later viewing at holiday times when your families are back together. It's creating a virtual family album of snapshots and moments. Our kiddos grow up so fast, and you now have an excuse to slow them down, engage in making memories, taking pictures and videos that you can share and enjoy for a lifetime, as well as really share the heartbeat of your home and what that looks like with the outside world. I just encourage you that there aren't any wrongs here, because mamas, you were called specifically by God to be the mom to these kiddos that you do have at home. And if they're grown like mine are, you can always make memories from a distance. I'm teaching one of my kiddos how to cook from a distance. I'm propping up my phone and we're having a cooking session live. I'm able to have story time with my grandlovey. I'm able to do a dance party and get my groove on remotely, and I encourage you to do the same. Don't forget, there are folks that are out there that are by themselves in solo quarantine. Check in on them, but above all of that, just remember, now is a time for us as moms to take mom moments and make them wow moments, to make doldrum days that pass by as we coexist and turn them into, wow, some of the best memories we've ever had. Last, I want to lead with, don't forget about dad. Mom and dad have a date night. Let the kiddos cook dinner and then serve you. It's a teachable moment for them, and it's going to be a funny memory for you. Have a crazy dinner night. Have lots of memory-making moments with your kiddos, and just enjoy the fact that you have the privilege of being a mom.
Thank you, Melissa. I love some of those. Wait till my family hears this. More great ideas. They're not going to know what to do with themselves, right? But that's what we are. We're the facilitators in the home. We're the producers. We're the activities coordinator. And it is challenging times, and we're going to be the light in our home, and we're going to challenge everyone, including ourselves, to do things differently. I just keep thinking we're going to grow in this. Things are going to be different. Things are going to be better. And our homes are going to have a different feel, because all of us had to do things and chip in and reach and touch and do things just in a whole different way. So thanks, Melissa. Thanks again to all of our speakers. You were all absolutely amazing. We really do appreciate you taking time out of your day, because we know everybody is in some ways busy, because if we're not homeschooling, we're working from home. So it's tough times. But thanks again to all of our speakers. I do want to just mention again that if you have any questions that came out of today's conference, or you want to get more information about Moms for America, or you have a comment, whatever it is, feedback, would you please email us at moms@momsforamerica.us. Again, our email is, and I'm sure we'll put that all around so everybody has it, it's moms@momsforamerica.us. That is our email. Again, our website is momsforamerica.us. Stop by our Facebook, Moms for America. It has a 1 on there. It should be the only one that comes up. We really want you in our community. We really want to help moms. We're praying for moms. We're encouraging moms. We're lifting moms up. This is a community and a movement that is really powerful, because moms change the landscape, and we really have so much to offer, even beyond our homes, because we are the ones that are raising the next generation of patriots. So we love you, moms. I'm going to go ahead and flip this back over to Kimberly and say thank you once again from myself and the team. And Kimberly has a couple of closing thoughts too.
So this has been pretty awesome. I am now on my hotspot because my internet has gone down twice. So everybody is realizing the power of the internet now, and it's a great opportunity to figure out how we can maximize this resource in a positive, productive way. And I hope that you are catching the vision of this idea of uniting together and supporting each other, because that's what we do. So we have a couple of hashtags that we've come up with: moms helping moms, moms supporting moms, and that's all we're doing during this time. So here's the awesome thing. Every one of us has some kind of talent or knowledge or skill or some cool resource that we found. Share them with us, because when you share them with us, we can share them with everybody. Mom Connect is a great way for us to stay connected during this time. Mom Connect is our Facebook community, and you can go right to Facebook and ask to be invited. Fill out just a couple of questions to help us get to know who you are, and we'll invite you right in. And that's an opportunity for us to connect across the country in a great virtual way to support each other on all of these things that we're dealing with right now. Because there are moms who've been schooling from home for some time who have great resources. There are also moms who suddenly found themselves being homeschoolers in this temporary situation, who have some great ideas that we've also shared. They just kind of, done the whole mom up thing, and let's dig in and get stuff done. The strong, powerful woman. So I also want to tell you about the power of a word. This word, social distancing, it's wrong. That is not the right word. Right now, we need to be physically distancing ourselves for the safety and protection of not just those who are sick, but really this is about our medical infrastructure. Our medical infrastructure cannot handle the amount of people that will get sick if we allow this to go crazy. We have the ability to stop it right now in our own homes, in our own families, and our own communities. And that's what we're asking you to do. To just take this little bit of time to take it seriously and step back. Take these amazing moments to connect with your family, with your husband, with your neighbors, with society in general. This is a time to be socially connected, not socially divided, not socially separated. Physically distancing, but socially connecting. That's what we're encouraging. And this is literally the absolute best time for you to do that. All these resources are available at our COVID-19 support center, and we keep adding every day. So again, if you have ideas, suggestions, a resource you found, a skill, let us know. And we're going to be doing more of these. And Melissa has a great she's going to pop up there for you guys before we go, so you can tell us what kind of things you'd like to hear. Everything, anything related to COVID-19 and what you're dealing with right now. Future ideas you can share with us on email. There's a plethora of topics that we can talk about, because honestly, all issues are mom issues, and we are dealing with everything from the home front. Home is the center of society, and mothers are the center of the home. That is how powerful we are. And when we are connected together, supporting each other, we can navigate through any storm. That's what this is all about. So thank you for joining us today, and we look forward to staying connected with you in the future. Melissa, back to you.
All right, well, we are concluding. There is only 1 minute left, and while I'm going ahead and going to give the wrap up, I'd like to go ahead and put a poll up on the screen. I hope you all can see it. We do have a conference coming up next week. It's a virtual conference just like this one, and we'll be co-hosting that alongside Heritage Foundation. So be looking for that information on Facebook on our events page. We'll also have information on our website. From all of us here at Moms for America and the team, you can kind of see that we are really plugged in to providing support for you. I hope today was enjoyable for you, just as it was enjoyable for me. And on behalf of the whole entire Moms for America team and all of our moms who are tuned in across the country, I just want to say thank you and have a blessed and truly wonderful day. Take care.